Welcome back to Brick by Brick. Today we're going to be doing a prediction between Pete Buttigieg, the former Secretary of Transportation under Biden. He was floated as a potential candidate and, ran for the Democratic primary in 2020, ultimately ended up dropping out and endorsing Biden, but he has been seen as somewhat of an up-and-coming star in the Democratic Party, and I thought it would be fun to do a prediction between him and who is currently most likely to be viewed as the most likely Republican nominee, being J.D. Vance. So this map will go through each of these swing states. I'll start out in Nevada and then work my way east. So I do think that in Nevada is going to be an interesting case. I do think that they will generally favor Democrats. I do think, while there was a victory for the Republicans both in the governorship and in the 2024 presidential election for Trump was able to win the state, which he wasn't even able to in 2016 or 2020, but 2024, he was able to win over some key voting demographic groups, such as Hispanic Americans, and they're going to play an important role in, pretty much every swing state, but especially in the Southwest. And I just don't know, I don't think that J.D. Vance would have the same kind of populist appeal that Trump did with, and then there was also the factor of inflation. And from what we've seen, that Hispanic Americans have kind of soured on Republicans lately, and so I do think that if the election were to be held today, it would result, I could maybe even see it going lean. For now, I'm going to go tilt. I'm going to do tilt for all these swing states. I'm going to come back to the district here in Nebraska, but for now, that's going to be 6 electoral college votes for Pete Buttigieg. And then we get to Arizona. Arizona is going to be interesting. I do think that Buttigieg has a shot in it, should this be the actual matchup. But I do think it would be difficult for really any Democrat to win. Biden was able to win Arizona in 2020, so Democrats know it's possible. They also have elected quite a few Democrats to the state level, including senators and governors. But I do think that if it were on the presidential level, I think there would be a lot of more moderate McCain-type Republican. I'm not sure why Kentucky is likely red. Let me fix that. But I do think there would be some more moderate Republicans that necessarily wouldn't be willing, that would vote for Biden if it were between Biden and Trump. But if the situation were between Vance and Buttigieg, that those more traditional Republicans would remain with their Republican roots and would go with Vance. He is just a little bit less of a polarizing figure. Definitely both of these people are, just by nature of being politicians, but I think that Vance would probably be able to win the state of Arizona. And then in Georgia, I'll go down to the southeast. I do think in Georgia that Buttigieg would have a pretty decent chance. I do think that he's, weirdly enough, got a better shot there than in Arizona. Georgia had great elections for Democrats in 2025, and so things are, and in general in 2024, even though both Georgia and North Carolina did end up in the Trump column in 2024, we've seen some trends that indicate that they are moving progressively leftward. And I do think that these states in the long run I think it'll take a while. For now, they're going to be swing states, and I should note that I do think there'll be a different prediction here in North Carolina compared to Georgia. I'm going to go with blue Georgia for Buttigieg, and then in North Carolina, the state was regarded as one of the core swing states in 2024, although it hasn't gone to a Democrat on the presidential level since Obama won it in 2008. So I do think that it is going to be a swing state for a while, but I do think it just kind of has a Republican structure and ground game that is going to reinforce that, especially on the presidential level. I do think on the Senate level, they're most likely, the polls favor that they're going to elect a Democrat in 2026. And the 2028 election is still really far away, so we could see a reversal of this. But for now, I'm going to go with North Carolina in the tilt red column. And that leaves us, I forgot the district in Omaha. I do think that Buttigieg would fairly easily be able to clear this district. So one more electoral college vote that would increase is totals by 1, so that brings us to 248 to 246 with Buttigieg taking the lead. But we still have these 3 Rust Belts, 3 critical states to characterize. So I do think that Buttigieg would probably, his best shot would probably be in the state of Michigan, which I'm going to go with a tilt blue rating for Buttigieg there. I do think that Pennsylvania might be a different situation. I think Pennsylvania would probably be J.D. Vance's best shot in the Rust Belt. So I'm going to go with a tilt red rating for J.D. Vance in the Rust Belt, or in the Pennsylvania part of the Rust Belt. And that brings us to 265 to 263 with Vance taking the lead. That leaves us with the last state characterized being the state of Wisconsin. And I do think that Buttigieg would probably be able to clear the election result, would be able to do well enough in Wisconsin to win the state. And that, with that 10 electoral college votes, it's a close one, but that brings Democrats to 273, the Democratic candidate Pete Buttigieg, to the Republicans nominee, hypothetical nominee J.D. Vance, 273 to 265. So feel free to agree or disagree with me in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.